Alright, what's going on, guys? So, with an influx of new players jumping into Cold War Zombies after the free-to-play week, and some people getting invested into this game, and also with the release of a brand new map, Firebase Z, coming very soon, today we're going to be looking at the top 5 most overpowered loadouts to help you get a better footing if you're just starting out and playing D Machine now, or getting ready for the new map to come out. I've been playing this game a lot, have been experimenting with different weapons and attachments and setups, and I think I found some pretty optimized ones that you can run in your game that are really going to serve you well. We've got a lot to go over today, so sit back, relax, and if you enjoy the video at any point, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. We will go for 2,000 on this one, and definitely make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Become part of the 8% of elite gamers. Some pretty special stuff for you guys when we hit 400k, and before we dive too deep into this, I would like to take a minute to thank the sponsor of this video. Today's video is brought to us by Vigor. This game is a free-to-play looter shooter in which you build your own shelter and survival base in a post-war Norway to survive. Right now, this game is available on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, and there's even cross-generation play. Meaning, if you start playing this game on PS4 and you rank up quite a lot, then you can go and get a PS5, and all of your progress and purchases will still be there for you. With the release of Season 6, Junkers is now live, who are the Raiders of Anakin. With Season 6, there's also the release of a new map. There are now night modes for maps, vinyl records with record players in the shelter. The Battle Pass has a wonderful offering of cosmetics that you can use to further individualize your character and add new things to your base and survival home. There are tons of weapons and features and brand new things to explore in Vigor, and if you are interested in checking this out, then it will be linked in the description. So be sure to go and check out Vigor if any of this interests you, and once again, links in the description down below. Thank you so much to Vigor for sponsoring this video. Anyways, getting back on track here, I wanted to give at least a little bit of variety in between weapon classes, otherwise it would pretty much just be all shotguns and LMGs, but there are actually some pretty interesting sleeper picks in different categories. So I think one of the best loadouts to use in the SMG class is going to be the Bullfrog, oddly enough. Now, this was probably one of my least favorite LMGs when the game released, but has slowly but surely probably become my favorite SMG in the entire game. And when kitted out properly in your loadout, it is an absolute monster. The most important attachments that you're going to want to apply are things like the laser sight and also the flashlight. These will give you better hipfire accuracy and also increased salvage rates. You also want no attachments that are going to impede your movement speed at all, especially if you're going to be, training around and being quite mobile with an SMG. You want reload speed first and foremost, and you also want mobility. Attachments that help things like flinch resistance and also reveal distance in zombies are going to do absolutely no good for you. The Bullfrog is a really nice cross, in my opinion, between the SMG class and the AR class, and especially when kitted out properly, it boasts a fairly large magazine on default, and you can extend that even with different attachments and increase the reload speed as well, which again is super important in Cold War Zombies. It's not the fastest firing gun in the world, but the damage per bullet is pretty on par with a lot of the other ARs in the game, and seems to be like doesn't really belong exactly in the SMG class, and I've become a pretty big fan of it recently. And if I am going to be playing SMGs for whatever reason in my loadout, it's going to pretty much always be the Bullfrog at this point, unless something else comes out that can replace it. I strongly suggest experimenting with the Bullfrog as far as attachments, and again, there's different attachments that cater towards different playstyles, but personally I found the most success in having a lot of mobility and a lot of reload speed. But moving on, and coming in at the number 4 spot, a weapon class that I think just is straight up a little bit better in zombies than the SMG class as a whole is going to be the M16. A lot of people that have been playing Cold War Zombies since the beginning, I would assume, know that the M16 is an absolute monster, and I've been playing around with the loadout attachments a little bit, and this is generally what I'm going to recommend. The things that you prioritize with the M16 are absolutely increased salvage drop rate. There is an attachment that increases your fire rate, and even stocks that can allow you to move faster while firing. And the reason this is unbelievably important for tac rifles such as the M16 is because the way Cold War works, you get a little bit of a actual movement slowdown as you're firing your weapon, and this is based on weapon class, but tac rifles get hit pretty dang hard. So as you're firing, your ability to physically move around is severely hindered. So there are attachments that can alleviate that a little bit with the M16, and it really makes all the difference in the world. It retains its damage throughout the high rounds, and it's still viable anywhere from from like 50 plus, and you can even use this to however long you want. You then need to apply attachments that kind of help its weakness out a little bit, and of course that being its mobility. And its reload speed isn't terrible, but it's nothing to write home about. You can increase that a little bit, but it's definitely the ability to move around that is so crucial with this weapon. But moving on to the next spot on this list, coming in at our number 3 spot, we have the Stoner 63. It's absolutely no contest in the LMG class, and I suspect this is going to be one of the most popular picks leading into Firebase C for a lot of people, and for good reason. This is the setup that I'm going to generally recommend to you. Again, you can tweak these a little bit how you like, but I found that you can pretty much change the functionality of this gun from the ground up. Without any attachments, it's very bulky, it's cumbersome, and it's kind of annoying to use, but with the right attachments and ones very similar to the ones I showed in the class setup, it completely changes the way that this gun plays. It allows you to use it kind of like an assault rifle as far as its mobility goes. Of course, it's never going to be like an SMG or a pistol or even a shotgun for that matter. It becomes a lot more versatile in and of itself, and of course LMGs are still going to be designed ultimately for a more methodical and camping style of play, but they are useful in other categories as well when kitted out correctly. The speed mags for the Stoner allow you to essentially cancel it a lot quicker than the animation plays out, so the reload becomes almost faster than some of the assault rifles, and again, it pretty much becomes the jack of all trades. This is probably one of the weapons I'm gonna recommend to start out for beginner players who are just getting into Cold War Zombies, as it's one of the easiest guns to use. It doesn't require a lot of fancy or, you know, technique or movement to get around. Pretty straightforward as a weapon, and doesn't really have much damage fall off after you've fully upgraded it and everything else. So absolutely solid choice. But moving on, and coming in at our number 2 spot is going to be the Krig 6. Right now, the assault rifle class in Cold War, I would say, is pretty tightly knit, and it's a close race between the Krig and maybe the XM4 as far as the best assault rifle goes, but I think with the right attachments, the Krig 6 is just a cut above. I've been experimenting with this gun quite a lot recently, and this is basically the conclusion that I've come to as far as what is most effective and what you should run. Again, one of the most important things about this weapon is mobility as well. The cool thing about the Krig is it really benefits from having an extended magazine. I don't know exactly what it is, or the fact that you can, you know, kill a horde of zombies more efficiently or take out megatons quicker without reloading, but having extra bullets in the Krig as compared to the original base vanilla version is such an advantage. This gun also has virtually no weaknesses, you know, as opposed to something like an LMG that is not very mobile and will generally have a pretty slow reload speed. The Krig doesn't really have any areas in which it's hurting in that you really need to compensate for. Of course, it can be made better via attachments, and you can definitely optimize this gun, but even just as its base model, it's not that bad. In my opinion, this gun also doesn't necessarily need any sights, but in zombies, you're not penalized for putting it on, and they're basically free to you, so you may as well add some kind of red dot or an optic, but you don't necessarily need to have it if you don't want to. Fortunately for this weapon, there's not really anything you can do to increase its fire rate, and that would be really sick if you could, because it would make this weapon even more of a monster. But as is, this is going to be the loadout that I strongly recommend and fully upgrading in your game, and it's going to be unbelievably effective for you. Now, before we unveil our number 1 spot on this list, I would like to give an honorable mention and a shout out to the Diamatis. Alright, now hold on a second. Before you cancel me, I know everybody is absolutely fuming at these weapons in Warzone and in multiplayer, but in zombies, hey man, they're not half bad. I found that specifically the dual wield version of these pistols in zombies is almost as effective as some of the SMGs, and it kind of behaves like a shotgun that you can fire for a really long time. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I have the optimized attachment loadout for these, but of course, hip fire accuracy, and I would also say reload speed are going to be vitally important for these weapons, but honestly, they kind of surprised me how effective they were together. As a single pistol, I don't think it's anything crazy, but when you put the two together, they melt megatons very fast. They can take out entire hordes of zombies with the 60 rounds in the magazine between the two of them, and I wanted to give it at least a mention because as far as the pistol class goes, it's definitely one of the ones that shine. Anyways, guys, coming today at the number 1 spot, what has to be one of the most effective guns to run in your loadout, and definitely going into Firebase C, I suspect will be very popular, is going to be the Hauer shotgun. And now the age-old question in zombies currently is which shotgun is going to be better, the Hauer or the Gallo? This is a very widely debated topic topic, and originally I thought the Gallo was going to be the best shotgun as a whole, but I've slowly come to realize that the Hauer, when attached right, is basically that weapon, but just a little bit better. The key distinctive feature the Gallo has over the Hauer is of course going to be ease of use and fire rate. With the Hauer being a pump action, of course, it's hard to compete with a basically semi-auto shotgun, and obviously the striker's been added, but it doesn't really get the job done either. I think that though, with these particular attachments on the Hauer that increase its fire rate, which is an option on this weapon, you're simply going to be dealing more damage per shot, and of course it's never going to be the exact fire rate as the Gallo, but I found it to be overall more effective, especially for taking out megatons and even hordes of enemies. If you can land headshots with this, of course it's going to be just absolutely filthy. It is like a little bit harder to use than the Gallo. You can't just hold down the trigger and you wipe out an entire horde. You got to be a little bit more precise about it, but even at the end of the day, it is a shotgun, so you can just treat it like it is. The attachments you want to prioritize, of course, is honestly going to be movement speed, and you don't really need anything for ADS. You'll want like pretty good hip fire accuracy and the ability to move quickly, and if you have those two things in order, then the Hauer is absolutely unstoppable. You can bet this is going to be the first weapon I'm taking right into Firebase Z as soon as it comes out, and I would suspect a lot of you guys are going to be exactly the same. But if you have any other weapons or any other particular loadouts that you think are just a sleeper pick or really, really good, I would love to know what those are down below in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, though, make sure to give it a like rating, subscribe if you're new to the channel, of course, and also go follow me over on Twitch. The link to that is in the description. I stream zombies almost every day. I would love to see you over there. Really want to thank you guys for watching once again. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you all on the next stream or the next video. Take it easy, guys. I gotta go, and peace out.